Hi, welcome back to Just an Everyday Fan. As you know, I haven't posted in a couple of weeks because things have been real slow with the WNBA. The season's over. We're in between the CBA agreement and there's just not much happening. So one thing that is happening is Caitlin Clark is set and scheduled to play in the ProAm tournament, the golf tournament in Florida on November 12th. So WNBA, if you don't want Caitlin Clark and what she brings to the league, I'm sure that the golf world might take her. What do y'all think on that? Because last year she put so many eyes on that actual tournament. It was very successful. So they're bringing her back again this year. As you know, in one of my last videos, when I was talking about the firing of Sandy Brandello from the New York Liberty, I said that if it were me making a bet on where Sandy might go, my pick was on the Toronto Tempo. And they are one of the new expansion teams coming into the league in 2026. Congratulations, Sandy Brandello. She has just been named head coach of the Toronto Tempo. I started looking at contracts. I started looking at players. Now, I thought I heard that Jonquel Jones, Sabrina Ionescu, and Stewie had signed addendums to their contract extensions. So I went on and I was trying to nail that down. The only thing I found was time off addendum. So I'm not sure if they actually signed another year extension for the New York Liberty, thinking Sandy Brandello was going to be their coach. I do not know that. It's not in the actual contracts. But, or if they're actually going to be, they were listed as free agents. Right now, Jonquel Jones and Sabrina Ionescu are listed as free agents. The interesting thing, I could not find Breanna Stewart. So where's Breanna Stewart going? Because she was not even listed on the New York Liberty as a player. She has been removed. So is she going to the Unrivaled League full time? Has she already pulled herself and she's going to the Toronto Tempo with Sandy Brandello? Uncertain. I do not know. I absolutely do not know. Now, I thought that was an interesting thing because Breanna Stewart, you know, a month and a half ago, she was listed on the New York Liberty team. And I just think that's very interesting because there aren't any transactions that have been listed under New York Liberty. So other than what I just told you about. Now, Adam Silver was on the Today Show and he was asked about the CBA agreement. And let me just say this. This is what Adam had to say. I think share isn't the right way to look at it because there's so much more revenue in the NBA ... They're going to get a big increase in this collective bargaining cycle, and they deserve it. Now, he ended that on a positive note, saying that the women deserved more pay. So we got that. And I think that we all know they're going to get more pay. So here's what the WNBAPA, the Players Association, came back with. They got on Instagram and posted, "Don't want to share?" at Adam Silver. Now to me, and this is just me, in the business world, if you want to be taken seriously, you don't air your grievances on social media. Players and Players Association, The fans are already on your side. You do not need to do this. When you do things like this, you're creating drama, for one. And, you know, when I talk to people about the WNBA, the men have a certain opinion. And they're like, I don't want to watch the WNBA, not because there's not great players, because there's so much drama. You don't see that in the NBA. This would not be going on in the NBA. So there's a certain amount of fans that are just tired of the drama that the women are bringing to the league. Treat it as a business. It's your livelihood. It's a business. Come to the table, work things out at the table, and then have the players' organization leaders and leaders from the WA issue a press conference that this is the agreement we came to for the next, X number of years. Very professional, very professional. You don't need to take to social media and say the negative things that are being said. So we have the PA, the Players Association, saying, a bunch of stuff like they're not coming to the table, they're delaying, they're not taking this seriously. And then you have the WNBA saying, we are taking this seriously, we're trying to come to the table, but we're not going to be able to give them all that they want, and we're not delaying, we're trying to get this thing done. So basically you're having one side saying the other side is lying. Now, we all know, and I think this is our big issue with the WNBA, or I can speak for myself. So it's my issue with Kathy Engelberg and the transparency of the organization. The transparency is horrible. There is no transparency. If you want to talk about who's lying, I think we can look at Kathy Engelberg, and I think we can probably see that. Now, as you know, I'm not a big fan of Kathy Engelberg. I would like to see her go. I would like someone put in that position that actually enjoys and likes basketball and is for the players, but has a job to do with the organization. So I think that there's going to be a happy medium if they can find someone to bring in to do those things. You can do both things. Now, Forbes put out a list, apparently, I haven't seen it yet, of the most influential women in sports. Caitlin Clark made that list at number 4. Now, they said in the last 2 years, Caitlin Clark has been the spark that lit the match, that set women's sports on fire. And I think we can agree to that statement. I think everyone has seen that in the last 2 years, everything has come up. There are more eyes, there's contract deals for viewership. All of these things are happening around women's basketball because of Caitlin Clark. Now, here's what I'm going to say to all the players. If you're listening, if you're not listening, I don't know. If you sign a contract on an agreement saying that you will share in the increased revenue when the league grows, maybe, just maybe, you might want to think twice about targeting Caitlin Clark and taking her out of the game. Because when Caitlin Clark is not playing, yes, you had ticket sales this year that were sold out because they thought they were going to get to see Caitlin Clark. But then when the game actually came around, if you looked in those stands, the stands were empty. When Caitlin Clark played in a game, the stands were full. Other than Gamebridge, who supports the Indiana Fever, and no matter if Caitlin Clark is sitting on the bench or not, they're there. Guess what? All of the games that are away, all of the away games, the stands were starting to empty out. So there is a correlation for viewership, ticket sales, and interest when Caitlin Clark is on the floor. So if you as a player want more money because the actual revenue pot is increasing and y'all are able to nail down a deal with the CBA saying when the pot increases, we get more, maybe you need to stop targeting Caitlin Clark and trying to injure and take her out of the game. Because I think everyone can see, even Forbes, Caitlin Clark is the reason why so many people have come to watch. So with Sandy Brandello going to Toronto, I started looking at, contracts with New York because I just wasn't sure. It was like, did Breanna Stewart, did Ionescu, did Jonquel Jones, did they all sign extensions thinking Sandy Brandello was going to be their coach? So I was a little confused on that. The only extension that looked like they signed in 2025 was a time-off extension. So I'm not positive on that. The one thing I did find that I thought was extremely interesting, and I don't know whether this was a glitch or it was a thing. Breanna Stewart was taken off the New York Liberty. I could not find her anywhere. Couldn't find her on Toronto because they're not listed. Don't know if she's going to be out of the game, if she's going to announce retirement, if she's going to go full force into the Unrivaled League for a year-round handling of the Unrivaled. I do not know. But I could not find Breanna Stewart. She was not listed. So keep your eyes out for something with Breanna because I'm not sure what's going on. Now, did she just fall off the New York Liberty? Did she say, I'm no longer? Here we go. Because as soon as Toronto offers me a deal, I'm going with Sandy Brandello. Don't know. But she was not on the New York Liberty roster. So if y'all know anything, let me know. I think that's a very, very interesting thing. And I just stumbled upon that just because I was looking at contracts. Now, Kelsey Mitchell. I've heard some things, and I heard something that Kelsey had put out on her social media, and the last words of this poem-like post was, I'm gone. Meaning, that was a big, was she gone from Indiana? Is she gone from the game? Is she retiring? Don't know. But is Stephanie White building a team around Kelsey Mitchell for 2026? Or is she building a team around Caitlin Clark? Now, if Kelsey has already said, I'm gone, meaning I'm gone to a team that's going to make me a face of their league, a face of their organization, I'm going to have my picture on a building and not Caitlin Clark. Maybe she's looking at another team. Maybe she already knows that another team, she's been approached by another team, and maybe she knows she's leaving the Indiana Fever. This is going to be interesting to see as well. 2026, when I tell y'all this is going to look like a bomb went off, it's going to look like a shit show. I kid you not. We have not only the CBA agreement going on, we have Project B that's coming in that the Saudis have funded, trying to take WNBA players off rosters and onto their team, so their league, and I've heard that they've already signed several players. Now, I'm guessing that these aren't the top players, but I don't know that for sure. Maybe Breonna Stewart is going. I don't know. Maybe other players are going. I'm guessing it's mid to lower level players thus far. I think everyone is waiting on the CBA agreement and what shakes out. So there's the CBA agreement, there's Project B, there's Unrivaled, which Unrivaled does not correlate, it does not conflict with the actual, and you can say, oh, it's not real basketball, it's 3-on-3, but it is gaining ground. It's gaining ground, and they can play on Unrivaled unless it's written in this new CBA agreement. So we know that all of the organizations have been trying to get a stay, really, from these players going to international and other teams on the off season. But if they're going to do that, they're going to have to come up with more funding. If they're going to want to say, okay, you play for us and us only, and you don't go to any other teams or organizations on your off season, that's probably going to cost them more money. And I don't know if they're going to do that because they're only going to have a certain team cap. So I don't think they're going to have it unless the CBA agreement increases those team caps to where they can have extra money to nail down certain players to say, we don't want you going anywhere off on your off season. So I don't know. What do y'all think on that? News, Caitlin Clark signed a roughly $28 million deal with Nike, right, for the shoe. I started looking at maybe comparables, and it was hard to find comparables for the men. LeBron James did sign a $90 million contract. So if you look at a $28 million versus a $90 million, there's a big pay discrepancy there. Now, I know Caitlin Clark is not a LeBron James yet, but she probably is the most influential and probably has the highest contract with Nike. I looked at some of the mid-tier to lower-tier players in the NBA, and even their signing of Nike was more than Caitlin Clark got over the course of 8 years. So roughly Caitlin Clark was around $3.5 million, and the shoe deals for other players, even lower level players and mid-level players, were much more than that on the NBA teams. So I'd like to see these women come up in every sense of the word, right? If they're bringing the eyes, they're bringing the money, they're bringing the players, they're bringing the interest. I would like to see all the women players get elevated within their organizations, within their contracts, within the interest. And that's only going to come with, I hate to say it, professionalism. I think Caitlin Clark has been very professional. You don't see her going on social media saying a bunch of stuff, right? She doesn't stir up the pot. There's no drama. She doesn't weigh in on things that she knows is going to get her in trouble. She knows what hand feeds her. And I think she's doing this very methodically. Now, then you have an opposite of Sophie Cunningham. Now, Sophie, I love her to death because she goes on her podcast, Show Me Something, and she just lets it rip. Man, she holds nothing. Well, she holds some things back, but she does say what she wants to say. And I love that about her, because with Sophie, you get total transparency. I mean, she just tells it like it is. And you got to kind of love that. So you have Caitlin Clark and you have Sophie Cunningham, right? And then you have all these players in between and how they approach their social media. Now, I will say that Sophie doesn't go on her social media and just let it rip. She has a podcast. She answers specific questions. And I think that's okay. Now, whether that'll be okay next year, we'll see. Will Sophie get a spot on the Indiana Fever when I say it's going to be a shit show? So in 2025, we had the Valkyries come in. And they were able, all the other teams were able to nail down 6 core players that they could protect. Meaning Natalie Mikasa had access to the other 6 players on every single team. So they could go and handpick from the teams. Only 6 could be secured. With 2 new teams, 2 new expansion teams coming on for 2026, you gotta think that number is gonna go down to 4 or let's just say 5. So the Indiana Fever and all the other teams are only going to be able to secure 5 players. So these new teams are going to have, so Portland and Toronto are going to have the pick of what they can't secure. So it's going to be interesting. I don't think we're going to even be able to know what 2026 is going to look like. What do y'all think? Let me know in the comments down below. As always, thank you for watching. Please hit like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.